Uh, every day I like looking at this picture. Every day I just like looking at this picture and thinking, this is how this guy smiled when he thought he was gonna be president. When he was sitting there like, it's gonna be butterscotch as far as the eye can see. This is the look of a man. This is the look of a man who thinks he's going to be president. Anywho, I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna happen. Oh, but who knows? Who knows? So hello again. As you know, I'm me. I'm Eli, the computer guy. This is the Daily Blob Show. This is where we make the sausage. Making the sausage here. And today I had an idea. I had a flash. I had this thought of brilliance. You know what Gary V says. You know what Gary Vaynerchuk says. You should not be a creator. You should be a documenter. So what I was thinking about today is we're gonna test out. We are going to test out the true power of my little Mac Pro, and we're gonna see if I can make sausage alive on the Daily Blob Show. So I have this class. I was going to do today. Well, I'm going to do today. This is the demonstration for it. Basically, creating a filter for uploading files using the HTML form to upload files. And so what I'm going to do is the cool thing is Wirecast allows you to stream and record at the same time as long as your system is powerful enough to do it. So what I'm thinking about doing is, or what I'm going to do, what we're gonna see how it works. Once I get done blabbering about whatever the fuck I blabber about, then we're gonna see here. I'm going to literally record a class live. You're gonna see the sausage made, and then we're gonna go over, and I'm actually going to edit for you. So this screen is actually working today. I found out there's a permission issue, and I'm gonna edit the video, and I'm gonna show you how Eli creates a class. I'm gonna pull the curtain away from the Wizard of Oz and show you how it works. Because why the hell not? Why the hell not? I'm just here screwing around. I am just here screwing around. Eli, any thoughts on Florida governor saying that church is an essential business and will remain open for mass gatherings? Yeah, Americans are very religious folks, very Christian folks. You know how much Americans love to get on their knees for Mickey Mouse. Oh, the great Mickey Mouse! Oh, Mickey Mouse, save us all! So yeah, that sounds like something that Florida would say, Governor of Florida would say. But again, we are supposed to be a free people, free country. Give me a life, or give me liberty, or give me death. No, give me life. Give me liberty. I'd be dead, but I got liberty. I am free to, actually not free to kill myself, but theoretically you're supposed to be free to kill yourself. So, yeah, I mean, it makes sense from our political model. Again, that's one of the things that I dislike with a lot of the progressives out there. A lot of progressives think that all the stuff that we're taught in school is just bunk, right? They don't believe in the freedom of speech. They don't believe in the Second Amendment. They don't believe in give me liberty or give me death. They simply fundamentally don't believe in it. And so a lot of the progressives right now are having a bit of a heart attack as they realize a lot of people in this country do believe in it, that they are willing to risk. They're really willing to risk their lives in the pursuit of liberty, and that should be our right. That should be our freedom. The thought of locking down the entire United States of America for any reason, even for coronavirus, should scare the ever-loving shit out of most people. So again, that's one of the reasons why I'm not anti-Trump on this whole thing, with him delegating the issues, basically shutdowns and all that, to the states and not making a national thing. Because again, remember, when you talk about nation, we are not a nation. The very concept of calling us a nation is just idiotic. We are an empire. We're a very large empire. And if we we take a look at the coronavirus map, right? So if you look at this, right, this is visually misleading, right? Because the United States, so you look here, so the United States is in the same position as Europe is. But if you click on this, what you can see is there's a lot of differences. But one of the screwed up parts is cases per 1 million people. And so again, this is where political leanings, this is where mentality, this is where the fucking diversity of quote unquote thought becomes a problem. Is if you look at this map, you get a very misleading view of the coronavirus epidemic in the United States, because what you can see here is cases per 1 million people. And so in places with cases per 1 million people, we have dark blue. And so if you see here, you have a lot of dark blue. But if you go up here, right? If you go up here and you look at all this dark blue, you might be thinking, well, wait a minute. There's a couple of states in there. You got Pennsylvania, you got New York, you got Massachusetts, you got Rhode Island, you got Connecticut, you got Vermont, you got Delaware. Really? I didn't realize all of those states were getting hit as hard as New York City. And of course they're not. Of course they're not. If we go out a little bit, what we can see here is New York City. And again, this is New York State. We'll go into it in a second. New York State has 7,656 cases per 1 million people, 149,000 confirmed cases. So 149,000 confirmed cases, 7.6 thousand cases per million people. So if you think Pennsylvania, the exact same dark blue color, the exact same. So what Google is telling you here, again, what Google is stating is that New York State and Pennsylvania are in the same bracket. Which, if you go down here, they've got 1.2 thousand cases per million people and 16,000 confirmed cases. So they have about 8x fewer. They have about an eighth of the confirmed cases. And even on a per million person basis, they've got about a fifth of New York. Pennsylvania and New York are not in the same league by any stretch. We go over here, we take a look at New Jersey. New Jersey's actually high. And again, you would argue New Jersey and New York may be in the same category. New Jersey's got 5,300 cases per million, 47,000 confirmed cases. But if you go over and let's say like Connecticut, 2,400, Massachusetts. So even here, these are all very different. We go over again, Illinois is the same blue as New York. Illinois has 1,100 cases, 15,000 confirmed. So again, a fraction, a minuscule fraction compared to New York. Michigan higher, but again, 2,000 per million, 20,000 confirmed. A fraction of New York. Colorado, 1,000, 5,600 confirmed. So literally, think about this. Isn't this the same color? It looks like the same color. So Colorado and New York appear to be the same color blue, and yet they are just worlds apart. And then the issue too is again, so you look at New York, even New York State, you're like, but Eli, New York State. But if you click on New York State, do you notice anything here? Do you notice anything here? Can we even say that New York State is X, Y, or Z? If we come down here, this is Long Island, Suffolk County, 11,000 cases per million, 17,000 confirmed, 14,000 per million, 20,000 confirmed, 10,000 per million, 87,000 confirmed. Right? Holy hell! New York State is. Oh, wait a minute, there's 6 confirmed up here, and there's 11 confirmed over here, and there's 8 confirmed over here, and there's 29 confirmed over here, and there's 17 confirmed over here. And oh, are you saying that even within New York State, you really can't talk about New York State, right? Because surprise, New York State isn't simply New York State. Again, New York City is getting the shit kicked out of it. Yes. Should we send New York City support? Absolutely. Should New York City be in our thoughts and prayers? Yes. Should we do all that kind of stuff? Should New York City be shut down or whatever else? Yes. But I just really want you to grasp. I really want you to grasp the problem of these kinds of numbers and the issues. When you start looking at this type of thing, because this right here, this horse shit right here, this is the horse shit that the bad, not fake, it's not fake, that blue number, that's not a fake, again, to be clear, that's not a fake number, that is not fake, it's just bad. It's skewing what people see. So the average person sees that and they think the United States. You come here and you think fucking Colorado and New York and Pennsylvania and Illinois. You think these places are the same. And even with New York State, you think what's happening in New York State. But what's happening in New York State isn't what's happening in New York City is. And so that's where, again, with the progressives and all of these people talking about how Trump, the bad tyrant, how the bad tyrant is not taking enough control of this country. Think about this for a second, right? The whole thing is, oh no, Trump is gonna be a tyrant. Trump is gonna take over the whole country. Trump is gonna do X, Y, or Z, and riddle me this, riddle me that. If he's such a fucking horrible tyrant, why does he keep refusing to take power? Oh, you mean when he has the ability to take power theoretically nationally, he keeps refusing to do it? Maybe your narrative's wrong. Trump may be many things. Tyrant he is not. So anyways, as far as Florida doing what Florida does, again, that's the whole point of how our political system is supposed to work. And again, quarantining, shutting people in place, giving $1,000 fines. In the U.S., that gets some people to pull out their guns. The Second Amendment, don't tell Biden this, but the Second Amendment wasn't about scaring away burglars. The Second Amendment was about putting bullets in police officers. That's the reality of it. And so, in a nation where it's supposed to be a democracy, and the citizenry is well armed. You do have to be careful about what power does the federal government take. Because if the federal government can take it now, what will they do later? How will they take things later? And that's what you have to be thinking about. Like, one of the interesting things I find right now is you realize in a few months, maybe a year now because it got pushed back, with the Real ID law, do you realize that if you're homeless, you won't be able to fly? Do you realize this? Nobody fucking talks about this. In about a year, at this point, because the game pushed it back, with the Real ID law, if you do not have a home address, you will not be able to fly. The federal government is going to state, if you are homeless, you cannot fly on an airplane. It comes from 9/11, right? The 9/11 and all the things that were put into place for identification purposes. And so with Real ID, whether you have a driver's license or whether you have a passport, they have to be able to document a whole bunch of things about you. And again, if you want to fly, you have to have not just an ID, but a real ID, an ID that's certified by the federal government to be a real ID. And so if for whatever reason you do not have a home address, you will not be able to fly. Just think about that for a second. Just think about 9 forms of horse shit that is. Free country, and you can't fly if you don't have a home address. That's the only things you have to really be thinking about, right? And that comes from 9/11. That comes, again, what should they have done before 9/11? They should have locked up the doors in the airplanes. They should have done a lot more security in the airports. Again, what does having a home address have to do with fucking flying in an airplane? Again, you should smell. I should smell. I'm not saying stanky homeless people need to be on airplanes. Fucking shower, you bastard, before you get on the airplane. But again, think about that. If you don't have the Real ID, how many minorities, how many people of color, the disadvantaged folks in the United States are going to lose their ability to fly, to be able to travel across this empire, simply because they don't have the right identification. And that's one of the fallouts from a lot of the bullshit that happened from 9/11. So, if at this point in time, Trump shuts down the entire United States because of this epidemic, the question that has to be asked is, okay, how is that going to affect us in another 15 years? Are you not going to be able to fly if you have a temperature? Again, think about that for a second. Like right now, everybody's like, but think, will you be able to fly if you have the flu? That's an actual question. That is a legitimate question. If you have a fever of 101 degrees in 2030, are you going to be able to get on an airplane? Not only are you going to be able to get on an airplane, but is the government going to have the legal right to lock you in your own house? Self-quarantine. These are questions that nobody's fucking talking about. So, I don't know. As far as Florida doing whatever Florida does, again, I'm looking to become a resident of Florida. I don't know. I'm looking at what's going on in Florida. That's the whole thing. Like everybody else, I don't know what people should do. I don't know what people should do. I talk about what I do. I talk about what I do or what I plan to do. Again, my wife and I were looking at buying a place in Florida before, like literally, motherfucker, literally. I should be in Tampa right now. Again, St. Petersburg. I should be in St. Petersburg right now. When I did a Starbucks coffee, going, how about that one there? That's what I was supposed to be doing right now. then reality happened. But anyways, I have to say, with everything going on, I'm not less likely to move to Florida. That's the reality. That's the proof in the frickin' pudding. Are you less likely to move to Florida, or are you more likely to move out of Florida because of what the government is doing down there? To me, it doesn't really change my opinion much one way or the other. They're doing that thing. Cool. So anyways, who listens to this little bald weasel? I don't know. Bye. Who listens to you? Nobody, because you just got banned, bitch. So anyways, that's what I find funny. People come in here and they just they don't seem to quite understand how the whole moderation thing works. It's like, you think you're dealing with barnacles. Oh, that's adorable. You think you're dealing with barnacles. You're not. You come in here and act like an asshole, you're gone. Done, bye, don't care. It's pretty easy. It's amazing. It's all these little trolls that... You know how you get rid of trolls? You just fucking ban their asses. If everybody just banned the trolls, they would be gone. But of course, in the modern world, I can't be expected to ban my own trolls. No, there has to be a law about it. Jack Dorsey, why don't you pre-ban the trolls for me? Motherfucker, you give me the ban button, I will use the ban button. And again, I've been using the ban button for a long time. If you come in here and act like an asshole, you get banned. Bye. Forever. Don't give a shit. Oh, anyway. I got $20 US. Max Z gave me $20 US. Well, there you go. There you go. Thank you for that $20. Not really sure what I did to deserve that $20, but I will accept that $20 from you. Anyways, let's talk about the killer ventilators, because this isn't a joke. This is like literally not a joke. So it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny. Oh fuck! I've had a screwed up life. Oh, have I told you how screwed up my life has been? I have such a fucked up life. My life is so fucked up that when you tell me ventilators are killing coronavirus patients, I laugh because it's funny. Oh, I'm a bastard. Hi, I'm Eli, the computer guy. I'm a bastard. But I don't really mind that, so I don't know why I'm here. Anyway. So the interesting thing, so my wife was actually talking to a friend of hers who is a medical person, longtime professional medical person at a prominent place around here. And it was interesting because this actually came up a few days ago. And then I saw the newspaper article today. So a few days ago, my wife was talking to her friend, and then her friend was like, yeah, you really don't want to go on a ventilator. Which, of course, seems like the most fucking obvious statement in the world. Right? Oh, my golly. Wow, I thought I wanted to go on a ventilator if I had coronavirus. Thank you for disabusing me of that thought. But the friend was like, no. Like, seriously, like, most of the people that go on ventilators die. You don't want to go on a ventilator. And this is one of the things we haven't been hearing about. We haven't been hearing about this from the progressive folks. All the people beating the Trump over the head about not having enough ventilators in the United States. You know, one of the things we haven't heard, because it would have fucked up their narrative, is what if ventilators aren't that good for coronavirus patients? Never fuck up a good narrative. But anyway, so my wife's friend was like, if you go on a ventilator, you're most likely going to die. I was like, what? So I just kind of put that in the back of my head. Like, okay, well, hey, this professional, like, career medical person at a prominent place is saying if you go on a ventilator, you're probably going to die. Which, again, it's one of those things that goes in the back of your head, because it's not like I'm like, darn, Darn, I really want to go on a ventilator this week. I was really looking forward to that ventilator. So again, you're like, okay, whatever. But the interesting part was, and I had that in the back of my head, and then I saw Business Insider today and other places. We're talking about this. We're like, they're talking about butterscotch. But apparently, no. Ventilators, ventilators really might not be the greatest thing in the world. Isn't that the thing that you've heard? Isn't that the thing that you've heard from the bad media, from the media? Ventilators, 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 ventilators. We must have more ventilators. But have you seen it brought up that? Anyways, so yeah, apparently, a Business Insider makes it succinct, but there's more here. You can go and most COVID patients don't. Yeah. Oh, golly. 80% of New York City's coronavirus patients who are put on ventilators ultimately die, and some doctors are trying to stop using them. Have you heard that yet? And again, there's multiple sources, but Business Insider is pretty succinct. Some doctors are trying to reduce their reliance on ventilators for coronavirus patients because of reports of abnormally high death rates for patients using the machine. New York City officials have said at least 80% of coronavirus patients who are on ventilators in the city died. Unusually high death rates have also been recorded elsewhere in the world. Ventilators are typically used, blah, blah, blah. But if you go down here and it talks about it, some doctors are trying to use ventilators less frequently. Experts have said that some 40 to 50% of patients with severe respiratory issues die while on ventilators. New York City have said at least, just at least 80% of coronavirus patients who are put on ventilators there ultimately die. The New York State has the most confirmed, blah, blah, blah. There have also been reports of unusually high death rates among patients on ventilators elsewhere in the U.S. and in China and the U.K., the AP said. Putting a person on ventilators is an extreme step, blah, blah, blah. But it goes down here, and it's kind of interesting. Ventilators, again, have you heard this? Have you heard this? Remember, never screw up a good narrative. Never screw up a good narrative. If you think you can beat the shit out of Trump for something, you just keep beating the shit out of Trump for that, regardless how the narrative might change. Regardless, keep beating. Orange Man bad. Remember, Orange Man bad. So ventilators could be further harming coronavirus patients, some doctors say. Some doctors are also concerned that ventilators could be further harming certain coronavirus patients, as a treatment is hard on the lungs. Dr. Tiffany Osborne, a critical care specialist at Washington University School of Medicine, told NPR that ventilators could actually damage a patient's lungs. Ventilators itself can do damage to the lung tissue based on how much pressure is required to help oxygen get processed by the lungs. Dr. Blah Blah, a pulmonary critical care doctor, also told NPR that while ventilators work well for people with diseases like pneumonia, they don't necessarily work for coronavirus patients. She said that most coronavirus patients in her hospital system who were put on a ventilator had not recovered. Have you heard this? Have you heard this? Don't fuck up a good narrative. She added that the coronavirus does a lot more damage to the lungs than illnesses like the flu, as there is fluid and other toxic chemical ketokines, we call them, raging through the lung tissue. We know that mechanical ventilation is not benign. One of the most important findings in the last few decades is that medical ventilation can worsen lung injury, so we have to be careful. Doctors are trying to find other solutions. Until a few weeks ago, it was routine in the city to place particularly ill coronavirus patients on ventilators, and now doctors are increasingly trying other treatments. If we're able to make them better without intubating them, they're more likely to have a better outcome, we think. According to the AP, doctors are putting patients in different positions to try to get oxygen into different parts of the lungs, giving patients oxygen through nose tubes, and adding nitric oxide to oxygen treatments to try to increase blood flow. Dr. Howard Zucker said on Wednesday that officials were examining other treatments to use before ventilation, but that it was all experimental. So, yeah, just... I'm just gonna put that on a tail and slide it across. There you go. Yes, just take that. Do with it what you want. But, yeah, that was like a hell of a thing. Just like, damn. Does not mean ventilators are killing people. Can worsen lung injury. Anyway, ventilators itself can do damage to the lung tissue based on how much pressure is required to help oxygen. So, um, anyways, could be killed. I don't know. I was gonna put here's a just gonna put it on the table, slide across. You do you, you do you. I'm just gonna try to stay off a ventilator. I was really looking forward to that ventilator. I was like, Tampa, Florida ventilator. I was like, well, I don't get to go to Tampa. At least I get to be put on a ventilator. Now I don't get to go to Tampa, and I don't get to be put on a ventilator. I mean, can my life get any worse? Ah, sucks. Oh, so anyways. Mm, so there we go. Oh, correlation is not causation. Yeah, I'm just listening to doctors. Eli, why do you listen to those doctor people? Again, and why I find this interesting is literally, it was only a few days ago. Again, medical professional, big institution, told my wife, don't go on a ventilator. Though, again, I'm not really sure. Darn it. Oh, so anyways. Um, this does not mean it's ventilators killing. They just aren't helping late stage infections. Read the article again. You read the article again. I read the article. You read it. You read it. Read it. Read it. Read it. I don't know. You can go on a ventilator. You like getting ventilators? You're like, hey, Eli. Eli, I just think the ventilators are the greatest thing. Have you got on an ass ventilator yet? Oh my golly, a colon ventilator. It's the latest thing in New York City. They shove a ventilator up your colon and it just cleans you out. It's just so wonderful. Look, if you want a colon ventilator, that's up to you. I'm just saying, I've been told stay the fuck away from ventilators. Oh, so anyways. Oh. So, oh. Okay, are you ready for this experiment? Oh, are you ready for the experiment? All right, first thing I gotta do is go pee. Goldman has a bone. Goldman, you read it. You a doctor, Goldman? You a doctor? Anyways, Goldman's been around. Goldman's been around. We'll let Goldman. I don't know what the hell Goldman's doing with his bone. Goldman's got a little bone today, and he's like, that's fine. He's been around for a while. He gets to go off on his little fucking tangent. Look, I'm just showing you. Again, you do your own damn Google search. You take a look. You make the decision. Holy hell, Goldman. Holy hell. Your daily blog videos get more views in one day than your main channel videos in a week. Yeah. Yeah. We're kind of getting close to my entire daily blob channel doing better than my main channel. So again, we talk about numbers. My daily blob channel is 139,000 subscribers, losing subscribers every day. My main channel has 1 million subscribers, gaining subscribers every day. And if I had to put a $5 bet, I would bet you by the end of summer, this channel is getting more views than the education videos. Might even be making more money by the end of summer too. So that's its own. That's. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? People want what they want. So I need to go pee for a second. I need to go pee. Then I need to get my uniform on. We're gonna make some sausage around here. We're gonna make some sausage. Hold on a second. Actually, I don't have a bathroom down here. I have to go all the way upstairs for my bathroom. So anyways, hold on. I'll be back in a second. Borgie. Orgy Borgies. Orgy Borgies. Hey, y'all ready for this? Y'all ready for this? Bow, bow, bow. So, okay. Am I really gonna shoot a video live? We're gonna do the whole process live. This is gonna be new. My thing is, Eli isn't a doctor either, so for him to jump to that conclusion from this article that states a particular set of circumstances which make ventilators dangerous, that's not good. Just read the article, Goldman. This always happens. Goldman, this always happens. It's like a disease. I don't know what it is. People get an Eli intolerance. It's true. It's true. I think people build up like an allergic reaction to me. I don't know what it is. I've seen because I've been doing daily vlogs. So I've been doing live shows since 2012, right? So I've been doing this, 8 or 9 years. And there's this weird thing. There's this weird thing that happens, right? People come here and they're like, wow. And then they get involved and they feel like they're involved. And then there's a certain point, I shit you not, where like people they get an Eli intolerance. They get an Eli, they're here forever. It's not like they're here once, right? You get the SJWs, you get the stupid people, they'll come once and they'll be assholes and they go away. No. These are people here that keep coming and keep coming and they absolutely love it and they adore it and they're here every day, and then something happens. I just fucking say something. I say something. Me, I'm doing what I always fucking do. I do what I always do, but there's something that I'll say and all of a sudden, it's like you'll see their little faces like come out to here and they're like gagging and they've got an Eli allergy or something. So Goldman, take some Benadryl. Go grab a bottle of Benadryl. Take a little bit of it. Have a nap. Reduce your Eli consumption for a little while. And maybe you'll be able to come back. Maybe if you don't overdo your Eli consumption, this may not be a lethal allergy for you. But I'm not a doctor, so I guess don't take my advice. It's this weird thing. I don't know what it is. People get the Eli allergy. It's so sad. I'm like, what? What? I actually even got that from Lewis the other day. You know what Lewis said to me? Fuck Lewis. You know what Lewis literally said to me like one of these times? So we're going back and forth. Whatever. And I was giving Sanmez shit, right? I was giving a bulldog mindset. Anyways, I was giving bulldog mindset shit. So for like a week, I was just fucking razzing John Sanmez. Because that's what I do. And literally, Lewis has been watching me since like 2013 or something. And Lewis like literally sent me an email. We're going back and forth. And he's like, well, I don't know what it is with you and Sanmez, but this isn't why I subscribe to you. And then he went to tell me why he subscribed to me. And I was like, are you shitting me, Lewis? Lewis Rossman, are you literally sending me an email as a fellow content creator telling me that you didn't subscribe to this and telling me why you subscribed? Did you do that, Lewis? Were you drunk? Losing a little bit of your brain cells? So yeah, I don't know. There's an allergy. It's an allergy. It's a known medical fact. I, as a non-doctor, can certify that this is a medical fact. There's the Eli allergy. You come here, it's great, it's fun. Something happens, and then you just overdose on Eli. Your face blows up to like this. You can barely see out your eyeball. So take a little Benadryl, Goldman. Take a little Benadryl. Take a nap. Come back in a week. I don't know. It always happens. The Competent Man for $5. Any idea why Programming Channel, which people could learn from and make money, has so many less views? Because people don't actually want to do better. Can I be honest for a second? Can we be honest for a second? Most people don't actually want to get better. Most people don't want to get better. Again, that's why I used to get so many arguments from these dumbasses who wanted to swap hard drives. So I used to talk about this back in the day when I gave a shit, where you go back to, let's say, 2015. And if you swapped a hard drive, you were making $12.50 an hour. And if you coded web applications, you're making $100,000 a year. Right? Again, 2015, let's not... Yeah. Literally, if you had 3 years as a Java developer, 3 years experience, Amazon at that time, your first year bonus was $90,000. Your second year bonus was $70,000. And then they start talking about what your actual salary is. 3 fucking years experience. Versus you could have 20 years experience as a hard drive swapper and nobody cared. Like literally, I talked with one of the managed service providers when I was traveling around the country. I talked with one of the managed service providers, and they were literally hiring MCSEs. No shit, they were hiring MCSE field technicians for $15 an hour. So literally, the same year, I sat with an MSP talking about them hiring MCSEs for $15 an hour. It was like a couple of months later, I was talking to the recruiter, whereas again, it was 90,000 bonus for the first year, 70,000 bonus to stick around for the second year, before you get to salary, before you get to benefits. But the thing was, I had all these people, and they're like, but Eli, I'm passionate about swapping hard drives. No, it's not that you're fucking passionate about swapping hard drives. Any fucking moron can swap a hard drive. Here's a problem, right? Is when these motherfuckers were like 12 years old, they figured out how to swap a hard drive. Their parents and their grandparents and all their friends were like so fucking amazed they learned how to swap a hard drive, and they got all high. They're like, oh, I'm awesome. People think I'm great. I can swap hard drives, right? And so again, swapping hard, who the fuck cares? That is barely even a subtask of a task in my professional development. But anyways, but they felt great about that. So they felt, I'm excited. I am passionate about being a technology professional, but I want to dedicate myself to swapping hard drives. No, you're a lazy, whiny piece of crap that just happened to learn one very pathetic little skill set in the technology world, and you want to ride that shit for a career. Swapping hard drives is not a career. It's barely a fucking subtask. But the problem was, so I would talk about coding, I would talk about all these larger things, and a lot of people didn't want to learn those larger things because they didn't want to take the effort. They didn't want to take the energy. You have to understand, when I took my MCSE test, so way back in the day, so I've got a college degree, I've got the military experience, I've got all that. The MCSE tests were such a psychological drain, right? So when I took the MCSE for NT 4.0, it was either 6 or 7 tests. Literally, most of those tests, to understand how bad those tests were, and again, I was a veteran at the time, I had my college degree at the time, right? I was well fucking trained. And I am telling you, those tests were so brutal, I would literally walk out of the testing room, lean on the fucking door frame for about a minute to stop fucking shaking before I then went out, got my results, and went the fuck home. That was how brutal the MCSE test used to be, at least back in the day. Right? And that's the thing. So people don't want to do that. They want to learn like a little bit of something. And if you I was like, I don't know what the fuck to do. Right? So anyway, oh my God, Goldman. Are you still here, Golden? It's a massive allergic reaction. No, Goldman. Go home, Goldman. Drink the Benadryl, motherfucker. Drink the Benadryl. He's having a full fucking allergic reaction. No. Can't save everybody. It's been nice knowing you, Goldman. It's been nice knowing you. When they shove that ventilator down your throat and I tried, Goldman. I tried it. You need to quarantine. You need to be quarantined from Eli. We need more space. We need to put a mask on. You need to put a mask on, Goldman. Put a mask on. Take some Benadryl. Get some sleep. Oh, anyways. Lewis is right. That's all I have to say about emails. Anyways. Also, Eli, one of the most common risks with ventilators is getting infected with pneumonia, since the breathing tube allows bacteria to enter the lungs. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying. All we've been hearing is ventilators. We need ventilators. I'm here. I'm not trying to give you any fucking answers. I'm not telling you the doctor comes with a ventilator. You're going, no, Eli, I'm not fucking Alex Jones. Do I look like fucking Alex Jones? Oh, God. Anyway, I'm not fucking Alex Jones, God damn it. I'm not telling you what you should do. I'm not like, here, take my herbal remedy and it'll cure you of fucking COVID. I'm not doing that. I am here just to give you a wider view of the world, and then you motherfuckers make your own decisions. You will never be on your deathbed going, well, Eli told me to do this. No. I give you a wider worldview, and then you decide what the fuck you're gonna do. Oh, so all right, ready to get a uniform? You want to see manly? Let's see manly body. You want to see? Anyways, I probably shouldn't do too much. I get banned off of YouTube. When you have a belly like, oh, look at that, man. Oh, yeah. See, that's Chihuahua mindset right there. You want a belly like that? That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, you want a belly like this? Let me tell you how you get a belly like this. Anyways, I don't care. I'm not trying to prove shit to anybody. This is being a man. It's like, yep, I got a keg belly. Don't give a fuck. Do I look like a fucking poodle? Do I look like a poodle to you? I'm not a fucking poodle. Remember when poodles were real dogs? You know, poodles used to be hunting dogs. Poodles were real, actual fucking hunting dogs. And then they got turned into poodles. That's how I feel about alpha males. They were men at one point. They were actually men at one point. And then they got turned into the human poodle. Very sad. Very sad. Don't be a human poodle. Don't be a fucking human poodle. Oh, have you ever thought about storing stuff on tape? Tape can be good for some things. It was actually interesting. I was at a conference a couple years ago. They were talking about flape. Flape. Have you ever heard of flape? Flape is basically flash memory combined with tape backup. So the idea is you have an array of flash, basically solid state drive. So you have a big solid state drive array, and then that connects to a massive tape backup system. So the idea is a tape backup system will pull your file out, and then if multiple people need it, you essentially use that flash as the cache. So, anyways. So, oh, okay. You ready for this shit? Oh God, I don't think I'm fucking ready for this. Are you ready for this? Bow, bow, bow. Yeah, I gotta get motivated. Gotta get motivated. Who's out my house? Who out my house? All right, you guys are gonna go away. You guys are. You're gonna go away. I'm gonna minimize you. I can't be thinking about you people. I can't be thinking about you people while I do this. Okay, let me actually just record for a second. Okay, so I'm just recording right now. Oh, just gonna be doing a little bit of a recording, just to verify that I can record and stream at the same time. So we're sitting here, 22% CPU usage. So I'm recording 1080p, 60 frames per second, streaming out at 720p. That's no big deal, but still 19-20% usage all total. I just want to make sure the audio and everything is good. Let me do here. Then let me pause this. I'll pause this, and I'll bring this up. So that's me. Just record for a second. Okay, so I'm just recording right now. Oh, just gonna be doing a little bit of. Okay, good. So I'm able to stream and record at the same time. Nah, are you ready for this? Are you ready for some sausage? Are you ready for some sausage? There's gonna be some sausage. There's gonna be some fucking sausage around here. Not that kind. No, you gay boys. I ain't talking to you fucking gay boys. Not that kind of sausage. Not that kind of sausage, you gay boys. Anyways, all right, let me do that. Let me clear out let me delete those files. This will be interesting. Move to trash. Okay. This will be curious. I guess it's not really different at the end of the day. I mean, I'm still talking to the camera. The only difference is I'm live streaming at the same time. Filters. All right, ready for this? Need to turn on the recording. There we go. Okay, recording's on. That's there. Let me just refresh. Hello again. As you know, I am Eli the Computer Guy, and in today's class, I'm going to be showing you how to create filters to prevent certain files from being uploaded using HTML. Welcome back. As you know, I am Eli the Computer Guy, and in today's class, I'm going to be showing you how to use filters with your HTML forms in order to upload files with your PHP script. So in a previous class, I showed you how to use an HTML form and a PHP script in order to be able to upload files into your web server. The problem with the script that I showed you before is basically that there were no limitations on the files that were able to uploaded, be able to blah blah blah. Welcome back. As you know, I am Eli the Computer Guy, and in today's class, I'm going to be showing you how to create filters. That's not right. Yeah, this is how it is, motherfuckers. This is some sausage. This is some sausage. Hello again. As you know, I am Eli the Computer Guy, and in today's class, I'm going to be showing you how to add filters to your HTML. For when? Welcome back. As you know, I am Eli the Computer Guy, and in today's class, I'm going to be showing you how to create filters for your HTML form and PHP file upload script. So in a previous class, I showed you how to use an HTML form and a PHP script to be able to upload files to your web server. The issue being is with the project that I showed you before, there were no real limitations on what you were able to upload. So basically, you could upload almost any file size, you could upload any type of file, so on and so forth. Obviously, if you're going to be creating an application, you are going to want specific files to be uploaded to your server. So if you're going to be creating a application that's going to be dealing with image files, you don't necessarily want people to be able to upload PDF files or TXT files. If you're going to be having your users be able to upload files, you may also want to be able to limit the size of the files that are going to be uploaded, those types of things. So in the class today, I'm going to be showing you how to create some basic filters to prevent your users from just being able to upload any files that they try to upload. There you go. See, that's how it works. So the warning, Will Robinson, warning for today is be careful with filters. Know what you're trying to do with filters before you add filters to your web application. One of the biggest problems for end users is that many times people that develop applications or possibly administrators, they actually add too many filters and don't explain what's going on to the end user. So I think about this back in the day when I used to own a domain name called starvinggeek.info. So I had an email address called eli@starvinggeek.info, and so that was my email address that I used. One of the problems that I ran into, though, about 20 years ago, is although .info was a legitimate domain name, it was a legitimate suffix, many times when I tried to create an account with many web services, they would fail me out because their filter did not recognize .info domain names. So although I had a legitimate email address and domain name, simply because their filter did not understand what .info was, and they failed me out. Oh, all kinds of hijinks ensued. So one of the things that you really need to be thinking about when you're creating these filters is really make sure you understand the requirements for what your filters are supposed to do. So again, when you're thinking about things such as only allowing certain extensions to be uploaded, make sure you actually understand how the extensions are typed out in the real world. So again, with things like JPEG files, if you allow .jpeg but don't allow .jpg, then a lot of people are going to try to upload .jpg files, and then it will fail out because you have not added that to the system. So one of the things you really need to be thinking about with any kind of filters that are going to be interacting with your web application is really make sure you understand the requirements, really make sure you understand what problems you might run into, and if you're really going to put this into production world, test it with a few users, let them hammer the hell out of it, see see what weird problems they run into, and then fix that before you put that out into the production environment. Because again, remember, with your users, with the boss, with the people hiring you, so on and so forth, basically, if the application doesn't work, they're not going to care why it doesn't work. They're not going to care that, oh, you misconfigured how the extensions were supposed to be read, and that's why it didn't work, versus something else. They're just going to know, look, my secretary tried to upload files to the application that you created. It failed, therefore your project failed, therefore you're fired. So when you're thinking about adding these types of filters to any of your web applications, really make sure you understand what you're trying to accomplish, make sure you understand what problems you might run into, and think about all of that before you deploy this into a production environment. There we go, not too bad. So the demonstration that I'm going to be showing you today is going to filter based off of three different aspects. The first is going to be whether or not a file name already exists of the file that you're trying to upload. So imagine you're trying to create an application, people are going to be uploading to that application, and you do not want to overwrite files. So maybe if a file name already exists, what this is going to say is that file name already exists, and so it is then going to fail out. The next filter we're going to have is going to say a certain size. So basically, the example that I'm going to give today is that if you're over 50,000 kilobytes, it will fail out. It'll basically say your file is too large, give me a smaller file. And then the final filter that we're going to be doing today is going to be looking at the extension. So basically, we're going to have a GIF extension, a JPEG extension, basically those types of extensions. If the file that you're trying to upload has that type of extension, it will allow the file to upload. If not, it will fail out. So we'll be looking at those three different ways to filter file uploads. Again, whenever you're coding, there are a lot of different ways you can filter file uploads. I'm just giving you these three examples to basically show you how it can be done. If you're looking for a specific solution, just do a bit of Google searching and I'm sure you can find it. So with that, let's go over to the demonstration computer. I will show how the file actually, or this little script actually works when it's up and running, and then we'll go over and take a look at the code. Not too bad. So here we are at my demonstration computer. For this particular demonstration today, it doesn't matter what computer you use or basically what web browser you're using. Essentially, I'm just using the web browser to connect back to my LAMP server. So I have a web server at 10.0.1.36, and there I have this file upload.html form. And so basically, I just need a web browser to be able to access this. So with this, we just have a little... fuck. Dang, coronavirus. Get back! Get back! Getting coronavirus. Flemmy. Flemmy. So here we are back at my demonstration computer. Again, I'm using a MacBook Pro and I'm showing you this with the Safari web browser. It's important to understand though, I'm simply using this to access the web server that I've created over at 10.0.1.36 that has an HTML form called file upload.html. So with this, it's a very simple file upload form. Basically, it allows me to choose a file and it allows me to submit the file, and that's it. What's going to happen though is I've created a filter, and the filter again is going to look for three criteria. The first is whether or not the file already exists. If the file already exists, then the script is going to fail out and say the file already exists. The next is to say whether the file is above 50,000 kilobytes. If it's above 50,000 kilobytes, it will fail out and it won't work. The final is basically looking to see whether it's a JPEG, JPG, or GIF file if it has that extension. If it does, it'll upload. If not, it will fail out. So the first thing I'm going to do is we're just going to actually upload and show you how things will work if things upload how they're supposed to. So we come over here, and again, I have all these like image files. So I have this img 5473.jpeg, and that's 45 kilobytes. So we'll use that. So we're going to open this up, and then we're going to hit submit. And so everything went through fine. So file was uploaded, img 5473.jpeg. So let's go and let's try to upload the exact same file again. So if we choose file, and then where was it? It was 45, right? So this is the file that we just previously uploaded. So that has actually been uploaded. So if we try to do that now and we try to submit, what we're going to see is the file already exists. So this script failed out because the file already existed. If we go back and we can choose another file, let's choose a larger file here. Again, we're going to hit submit. That was about 105 kilobytes. We hit this, file is over 50 kilobytes in size, so that is going to fail out. Then if we're going to go back, again, we can choose a file. Let me go to desktop. Let me just find something like a PHP script. So we have this PHP script here. So obviously this is not a JPEG file. We're going to open. We're going to hit submit. And again, file type is not allowed. Upload JPEG or JPEG, JPG, or GIF, and go back. Again, remember whenever you're creating these applications or even these simple little scripts, always make sure that you don't give yourself a dead end. Always be able to do things like simply go back. So I simply have a hyperlink here that allows me to go back to the form. So that shows you how these filters work. If the file already exists, it fails. If the file is too big, it fails. If the file doesn't have the right extension, it fails. And that's basically how it works. So with that, let's go over and actually take a look at the code. So here we are. Fuck, flying. So here we are on my web server. So here we are on my web server. Again, I'm running Ubuntu 18.04 LTS, and I'm using the desktop version. So we have the graphical user interface, and we can visualize things a little bit easier. Everything that I'm showing you today basically should run on almost any version or distribution of Linux that you would want to use. Again, everything that I'm showing you can be run purely at the command line. You do not have to have a graphical user interface. I am simply using the graphical user interface because it's a little bit easier to visualize everything. At this point, you should have a basic idea of how to upload files to your web server. So again, with your php.ini file, you need to make sure that file uploads are on. If php.ini files do not allow for file uploads, none of this is going to work. The filters won't work because nothing's going to get uploaded. Beyond that, do remember there's a file size limitation. The default limitation with PHP is a 2 megabyte file. So if you want to be able to upload larger files than that, you're going to have to actually go in there and modify the php.ini file. Beyond simply modifying the php.ini file, you are going to have to restart the Apache 2 service. Remember, if you modify configurations but you do not restart the service, those configurations do not become active, and then insanity ensues. So do remember, whenever you modify php.ini or any other configuration files in your Linux server, to always restart the services that are associated with them. Beyond that, I have a folder, again, within the root of the Apache 2 web server and the HTML folder. We have a folder called folder. This folder called folder, again, has the permissions to allow people to be able to write to it. So again, for others, so basically this is for people on the internet, for everybody, people have the ability to write to this folder. So these are some of the basic things, again, that you should remember if you're going to be creating this type of script. So beyond that, let's go and actually take a look at the code. The first bit of the code is what we dealt with before in the previous demonstration. Essentially, all we have here is a very basic basic HTML form that allows you to upload the file. So the form action is going to be pointed to that file upload.php script. So the PHP script that we're going to be dealing with in a second, it's going to be uploading there. Method equals post. The type is a multi-part form data. And then all we're simply doing here is the input type equals file. The name of what we're going to be uploading is going to be upload. Here we have the uppercase U. And then the input type is simply going to be submit. So if we go over, take a look at the demonstration, again, this is what we get here. So we have the choose file. So this is the input type for file. And then we have the submit button. So now let's go and actually take a look at the PHP script itself. So there's some interesting things going on with this PHP script, and there's some things I haven't talked about in previous classes, but I think you'll be able to keep up with as I explain things. So with here, again, the first thing that we're going to have to do is we're going to have to open up the PHP. So we're going to have to say that this is a PHP script. Then the next thing that we have to do is we have to create a variable that will say what the directory we're trying to put these files into. So I created a folder, literally called folder. So $directory is going to equal period / folder / So this is simply the directory we're going to be dumping the files into. The next thing that we have to do is we have to create the file name. And so the variable for the file name, the value that we're going to give to it is going to be the folder, so basically directory. So what directory we're going to put into it, and then concatenate. And we use this function called base name. So basically with base name, what that does is it takes just the file name of the file that we're dealing with. So sometimes when you're dealing with files, you have the entire file path. And so what base name does as a function is it strips out everything other than the file name. So what this is going to do here is this $_files. This represents the file that was uploaded to the server. The name of that file is upload. So this here corresponds to this name right here. And then the name this is the name of that. So basically what base name is going to do is it's going to rip out anything other than the file name itself, and then it's going to concatenate on folder. So basically with this, it would be like period / folder / img_753.jpeg, and that is what we are going to get for the file name here. The next thing that we're going to do is, this is kind of interesting, is we're actually going to create an array of that file name. Because one of the things we're going to need to do down here is we're actually going to need to check based off of the extension. So if the extension is something, then we either need to allow the script to run or to fail out. So again, we need to actually be able to get that information out of the variables that we're dealing with. So what's really cool here is we have this function called path_info. And with path_info, what you're able to do is you're actually able to divide out a file path into its components and then access those components in an array. So basically you can get the file name, you can get the extension, you can get the folder path. Basically it breaks all those things out into an extension, and then you can interact with those individual keys within the array. So what I'm doing here is $file name array is I'm turning the file name into an array using the path_info function so that I can then get the extension out later and be able to do an if-else, or basically an if statement based off of that. The final thing that we're going to do down here is we're going to create a variable for extensions. So basically, what extensions are we interested in? So we're going to be creating an array for this so that we can easily add or subtract from this in the future. So down in the function where we're going to be checking for what the extension is, I don't want to have to put in a lot of ors or a lot of ands, that type of thing. So that's one of the things you can do is, conditional, if this or this or this or this or this or this, it becomes very tedious, especially when you're doing things like extensions. You may want to allow up to 10 different types of extensions, so you don't want to do 10 different ors down in the if statement. So one of the things that we're doing here is we're creating a variable for extension, ext, then we're setting the value to that of an array, and then we're adding the different extensions that we're interested in. So double quotation mark JPEG, double quotation mark JPG, double quotation mark GIF, you can keep going. And so basically then what we're going to do is we're going to evaluate based off of, is this in the array? Is this value anywhere in this array? If so, allow it to happen. If not, fail out, that type of thing. Then the final thing that we're going to do down here, this is a simple variable, basically that we're simply setting, is good. So we're creating a variable is good. We're setting this to 0. And what's going to happen is all the way down here, is essentially if is good does not equal 1, then we're actually going to upload the file. So again, one of the things you have to be thinking about when you're testing based off of multiple conditions, then how are you going to tell the final if statement whether or not it should run? So here what we're simply doing is if basically if it's not 1, then you will move the file into the folder. If it is, then you will fail out. So we go through, we can start taking a look at the filters that I've created. So here I have an if statement. With the if statement, what we're going to do here is there's a function called file exists. So this is very simple. Basically, if the file exists, right? So this function file exists simply returns whether or not the file exists. So we're going to give it the file name. So we have the file name variable here. So the file name is the directory plus the end file name itself. So it's going to say, does this file already exist? If it does, it's going to echo out the file already exists with a little break, and is good is going to be set to 1. So at this point, is good will get set to 1. So that means down here, if it's set to 1, then this is going to fail out, right? Then we're going to go down here, and we're going to check based off of the file size. So if, and then we have that file array, so $_files. We give the name of the file that's uploaded, so upload. Again, that name comes from here. And then with this array, it actually has a size in it. So when you upload the file using the HTML form in PHP, it knows what the size of that file is. So we're going to simply say here is if the size is greater than 50,000, we're going to echo, we're going to say print out file is over 50 kilobytes, and size is good is going to go to 1. So the file will not get moved. So basically it's going to simply print out file is over 50 kilobytes, redo, do again. So that's how you do file size. So with this, it's the array for the file that you're uploading. You do the name that comes in from the HTML form, and then you can simply say size, basically what the size of that file is, and then you can see whether that's above 50,000 or not, or whatever number you put in here, and go from there. The final one, and this is kind of the really interesting one here, is we're going to basically look at the extension. So what we're going to say is if the extension matches the extensions that we're looking for, or doesn't, so on and so forth. So basically here, what we're going to say is if not. So if not in array. So the in_array, basically what this does is this looks at the first thing that you get it. Basically, it looks at this first field that you feed it, and then you feed it the array, and then it says basically is this in the array. So the array here, as you can see when it pops up, is JPEG, JPG, or GIF. So basically what it's saying is this extension in the array? Or really what it's saying here is it not? So if you put an exclamation point in front of a function that's looking for a true-false statement, basically it says not. So if this is not in the array, then you say file type is not allowed, upload JPEG, JPG, GIF, so on and so forth, is good, goes to 1. So what we're doing here is this file name array, right? So we took the file name here. Using path info, we turn the file name into an array, and we set that value to the $file name array variable. So then when we're down here, since file name array is now an array, we can look for one of the keys in the array. So one of the keys is extension. So we can simply call, I want to know what the extension in the array is, and so that will come with PHP or TXT or HTML or whatever else. And so with that, it will see, does this equal anything that's in this array, right? If not, the file type is not allowed, is good, goes to 1. If it is, then it'll just pass through and you get to go and actually upload the file. And then past that, basically we have if is good is not equal to 1. So basically has not been set to 1 by one of these if statements up here. Then we're going to move the uploaded file just like we did in the previous example with being able to upload files to our web server using an HTML form. So this is basically how the script runs. Again, we have a couple of new functions in here that's interesting. This path info function can be very valuable. Again, it can turn a full file path path and file name into an array so you can actually test based off of different components in there. Then beyond that, we have the file exists. So does a file exist? And then we have the in an array. So this is very nice because again, you can create an array. You can create a list of things that you're interested in, things that you want or don't want, and then you can simply use the in underscore array function to see if something is in the array or not, and then have the if else statement interact with it based off of whatever criteria you set. So this is a basic example of how you're able to filter uploads when you're using an HTML form and a PHP script. Again, there are a lot of other things that you can do. So, play around with it and see what works best for you. So there you go. Now you know how to create filters for your HTML form and PHP file upload script. So now not only can your users be able to upload files to your web server, but you can create filters to basically, keep... So there you go. Now you know how to create some filters for your file upload script using HTML and PHP. Again, being able to upload files to a web server is a very valuable tool for whatever web application that you're going to be creating. But when you're dealing with users, when you're dealing with end users, you always want to limit them. You always want to limit them. If you allow them to do whatever they want to do, they're going to do things that you have not even imagined. Again, they're going to be trying to upload, the entire season of Westworld or something up to your poor little web server. And you're going to be like, why? Why? I'm looking for receipts. You're supposed to be uploading PDFs of your receipts. Why did you upload a movie file? But that's the type of thing that users will do if you allow them to do it. So by coming up with these little filters, it allows you basically to limit what your end users are able to do. Though I will warn you, when you start using these filters, give your users latitude. I mean, don't give them too much latitude. Don't give them too much latitude, but give them a little bit of latitude. One of the problems you get into with again especially a lot of coders and a lot of sysadmins is they really want to be hard asses. They really want to be like, this is what my users will do, and they will not be able to do anything else. And that doesn't go too well when the CEO's secretary decides that they're going to do whatever they're going to do, and then the secretary can't get their job done, and the CEO gets mad, and everything kind of goes to hell. So one of the things you do need to be thinking about when you create these filters is, give your users limits, but give them reasonable limits. So really, I would argue, like, if you want files to be like under 50 kilobytes in size, I'd argue actually make the filter like 75 kilobytes, right? Because if you set 50 and they upload something that's 51, that fails out, right? So if you say it's 50, and then they upload something that's 52, and the actual setting is 75, then it sails through and you don't get a whole bunch of arguments. And that's the kind of thing that you really need to be thinking about when you're creating these applications for the end user. Not just what your requirements are, but frankly, again, when you're dealing with professionals out in the real world, they're not going to want to nitpick about a couple of kilobytes one way or the other, right? They just want the application to work. And so you are going to have to give them enough leeway to allow the application to work. The other thing to realize, too, is when we start talking about things such as security measures, do remember that your filters will only do whatever you code them to do. So like where I showed you with being able to choose the extension, right? So only files of a certain extension will be able to be uploaded onto your web server. Well, realize if somebody, if somebody has a movie file and then they just change the end extension to .pdf, right, or .jpeg, that'll sail through the filter just fine. Because remember, this script isn't actually looking at the file itself, it's looking at that extension. So if somebody modifies the extension, that goes through, that gets uploaded to the web server. Again, that's the kind of time when you may start have weird problems on your server, because if they're uploading files that are not actually the type that you're expecting when your other code runs, when your server does whatever it's supposed to do, you might run into weird issues. That's also a possible vulnerability for your web server. One of the things that hackers will do is they will upload their scripts to your server with a .jpeg extension or .gif extension. And then if they can have a script or they can have something already on your server that all it does is rename, that final bit, that final extension for whatever they've been able to upload, they may then actually be able to fire a script off. So they may come up with a virus, they may come up with a script, they upload it to your server, basically camouflaging it as a JPEG file. If they have some other way to then modify what the extension is or modify how that file gets interacted with, they may then be able to run that script from your server. And again, that's a vulnerability that you may run into. So do remember, whenever you're dealing with security, you've really got to deal with multiple layers of security. Again, not just the filter in your PHP script, but make sure your file permissions are proper. Make sure, again, if you have random people uploading files, have it compartmentalized or firewalled off of your main infrastructure. You have to think about all of those types of things. But this is a basic thing to basically, to try to keep your users in line when they're using your web application. So that's basically how filters work for when you're going to be using an HTML form and a PHP script to upload files to your web server. As always, I enjoy doing this class, and I look forward to seeing you at the next one. Jesus. Phlegmy today. Phlegmy. Got some coronavirus going on. Oh, am I gonna want to see the snark? I just did 30 minutes. I did 30 minutes snark free. Oh, am I gonna want to see what you guys are saying? Ooh, James Shackelford for $2. That's what I like. I like to come back to money. Here, let me see this. So yes, if you've given me money in the past couple of seconds, I have not known. James Shackelford for $2. Will you be doing Python programming in the future? In the future. Yeah, that's the plan. Again, I'm just kind of going through and checking things off. So basically, like now, I'm doing these PHP things so that we can then use the Arduino to be able to communicate with the server or do some of those projects. And then when I kind of get to the end of that, then probably Python. So Python, I don't know. Python's coming. It's coming. When's it coming? I don't know when's it coming. It's coming. Some point. I'm locked in the basement for the year. I mean, that's a good thing. I mean, honestly, let's be honest. See, my main problem as a business person is I'm a bit squirrel. Squirrel, right? I'm doing something, and then a squirrel runs, and then I get excited about something else. So the good part about coronavirus, let me tell you the good part about coronavirus. The good part about coronavirus is I'm basically stuck in my basement for a year. I mean, again, until they come up with a vaccine, until they come up with either a vaccine or a cure, or at least a decent medical regime, I'm kind of stuck in the basement for a year. So I'm here. Every day I'm going to come down, I'm going to do my classes. And so basically, as soon as I get done with the series that I'm doing, then we get to the next one. So basically with here, like with PHP, I don't think there's a lot more to do with PHP. We'll probably do a few more with PHP. But get done with that and then start doing the Arduino and then get done with the Arduino, another series of Arduino, and then probably get into Python or whatever else. Again, there's only so many hours a day, only so many classes and videos I can do. So anyways. A video was circulating in GC about COVID-19 being aggravated by 5G. That it's not actually COVID-19 that's killing patients off, but 5G. I don't understand why people hate 5G so much. Again, I got 99 worries. I have 99 worries. 5G, oops, what are you doing? 5G is truly not one of my worries. What am I going to call this? PHP, file upload filter. File, yes. Suppose if I could spell. So you are going to see something fucking amazing here. You're gonna see something fucking amazing here. You are literally about to see how I edit a file. You want to see how I edit a file? This is how I edit a file. When you want to know why I'm so excited about my fancy ass little Mac Pro setup, you are about to see how Eli actually does files. And so again, this is why I like the Magewell and Wirecast, is because look at this. This is all one fucking video file. So I'm literally just going to go through this, literally clip out the crap that I don't want, and then encode. So this is like a lot of people don't understand why I'm so excited about this setup, but I'm telling you, from an educational standpoint, if you want to be an online educator, I have done this 1,000 different ways. This shit is fucking awesome. This is the schnizzle. This is the schnizzle. So I've got all this. I can simply do this to increase the volume a little bit because people were complaining about the volume. And then what I do here. And I do this, and I do that. Welcome. Oh yeah, eat your fucking heart out.
How to create some basic filters to be able to upload any files that they try to upload. So the warning, deploy this into a production environment. So the demonstration all of that before you deploy this into a production environment. So the demonstration that I'm going to do, we'll go over and take a look at the code. So here we are back at my demo. Let's go over and actually take a look at the code. Take a look at the code. So here we are on my web server. Again, I'm running Ubuntu 18. See what works best for you. So, and see what works best for you. So there you go. Or see you at the next one.
Boom! Boom! Boom, motherfuckers! Boom! That's what I call fucking editing. That's what I call fucking editing. Take that shit. Then I duplicate it. Oh, then I figure out where the hell am I. Boom! Bop, 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 bop! Boom! Final thing. Encode. Encode. Bop, 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 bop! Boom! Boom! Boom goes the hammer, motherfuckers! That's how I edit. That's how I do videos. All these people like, Yeah, yeah, motherfucker. That's how I do videos. That is my editing process. What the fuck did that tell me? Oh, Eli, that did not take you 3 minutes. That took you 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Anyways. Um, in Detroit, they were threatening to burn down 5G towers because they were convinced they were causing the virus. Yeah, I don't know. Wow, Eli, you should be a producer with all the darn effort you put in. Hey, I put in a lot of effort. I learned my material. I'm an educator. I am an educator. I do not learn, or I don't spend time. I don't put time doing fancy special effects. I don't do green screens. I don't do all any of that crap. You know what I do? I fucking teach. That's what I do. You want logos? You want fancy crap? Go I don't know. Go look at one of the other folks. I just teach you how to actually do something. Eli, where are the special effects? Eli, I expect better. That's dumb. That's dumb. But anyways, I just figured I'd show you. I mean, one again. Gary Vaynerchuk says that you should document, not really create. So I figured I would use this as a way to show you how the sausage is actually made, and also just show you folks basically how the process works. Again, a lot of people that are interested in getting to YouTube or online education or whatever, they think it's a lot harder than it needs to be. And again, you literally just saw my process. The only part of that process you didn't see was me coming up with the demonstration, and I mean, you guys see that all the time. So it's one of those things to think about. And the other thing too, is like for myself, I'm one of the only YouTubers I know that has a production model like this. And again, it's nice because I mean, I can just all this different stuff. I can just flip through. The editing flow is incredibly easy. And so I think more YouTubers, if they understood they could have a production environment like this, I think more YouTubers would do it. So again, it's a way to show how the real world gets done, how the sausage gets done. Eli, do you think COVID-19 will be the tipping point for a massive expansion of remote work in businesses? And will ISPs have to adjust at all with such an increase in data usage? I don't know. The ISPs seem to be doing well. The ISPs seem to be doing well with the current amount of data usage. So I think the ISPs will be fine, honestly. Um, they may have to deal with some more backbone stuff. So last mile, like the really expensive thing for ISPs is last mile, like from the whatever to your house. That's expensive. Most of that's been dealt with. At this point. So again, whether you have copper, whether you have fiber, that shit's fast enough. The real thing will be the backbone, and backbone's kind of like one of those credit. I mean, I hate to say it's a credit. It's not quite a credit card upgrade, but it's in the corporate world. It's the equivalent of a credit card upgrade, where basically you spend more money, you get more stuff. So improving the backbone, if they need to do that, I don't think will be that difficult. So the ISPs will be fine. Whether remote work will become the new normal, I don't know. I thought remote work was going to be the new normal a long time ago. Like, it was really interesting. Like years ago, IBM was talking about how they put like 70% of their staff to remote work. So IBM had been the big powerhouse, and then they decided that they're going to push the whole remote work concept, and that was like back in like 2009, 2010. So what they looked at the cost of office space and parking and all that kind of thing, and then they realized just having most of their staff work from home just saved a lot of money and everything else. So the curious thing with the whole work at home thing is that technically it's been fine for a decade, for the most part, or more than a decade, really. Probably for most people work from home has been good for 15 years. There's a lot of societal shit that goes along with working from home, and so I do wonder how much of that societal will actually shift with the coronavirus. Again, that whole collision thing, that whole being around other people. You have to realize how lonely most people are. I mean, many people have very lonely lives. And so a lot of people, their social life is work. Like, as much as they may complain about their boss, as much as they complain about work, that is their social life. So if you start having a lot of lonely people in the suburbs that are remote working, you might get a lot of nutty folks. Like, that's the one thing, like with remote working. Again, with everything, you got to think about the situation, right? If you've got a spouse and you've got a kid and you've got a church and you've got a social life, then working from home may make a lot of sense for you. It's like, oh, I've got to deal with my kid, so being able to work from home, that makes life better. But you know what? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're like a 35-year-old with not great career prospects, basically you're just getting your 3% raise every year, and that's about it. You don't have a spouse, you don't have a kid, you don't have a social group. Having more and more of those people locked into suburban hell, that's probably not good for anybody involved. So I'll be curious to see how much at the end of the day actually goes to remote work, and then how much, again, once the vaccines are created and whatever, how much actually goes back to in person. I think with everything, just like with this generation, like so for my generation got moved into cubes. So before my generation, there were offices, and then my generation got moved into cubes. And then the millennials are like, you will not trap me in a cube. No, we'll have 6 people in the space you used to use for 1 cube. I crap you not. I laugh my ass off at millennials. Millennials, do you realize how you have sold yourselves? You have been so proud to sell yourselves out. Like, literally, in the space we would have 2 cubes. In the space that we would have 2 people working, I have now literally seen 6 people working. It is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. The millennials are so proud about it. We have open floor plans. No, motherfucker. I guess that's a term. So I don't know. Will all of this modify how office space is? Probably. Again, like, there's a big question. Like, if you're worried about diseases, if you're worried about future pandemics, do you want so much common area? Right? If I have an office and this is my office, then I'm responsible for keeping my office clean and sanitized. If we all come to communal areas, nobody's really responsible for keeping it clean and sanitized, right? Up until this point, we weren't worried about dying, hacking up a lung, so it hasn't mattered. Now that you have more people concerned about hacking up lungs, you may have a lot more people that are like, well, if I come in, I want my own office. I want an office where I know I can spray everything down and it will be sanitized. I think that's the kind of shifts that we'll see. Whether or not everybody will keep working from, there's something weird about working from home. Again, like, I'm an entrepreneur. I've been doing videos now for 10 and a half years. But just because I can do it doesn't mean everybody can. It takes a mindset. It takes a mindset to wake up in the morning and do your job. So that's my thoughts. Oh, so anyways, I see a future for Eli Industries as a content provider for Google Classroom. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. So anyways, I need to go do some stuff. Be with my wife. So yeah, my video is encoding. This is the longest part of the process. But again, this is the cool part. I mean, like, look at this shit. Look at this schnizzle. Literally, my videos are encoding while I'm doing this live stream, and I'm currently using 35% CPU. I love my Mac Pro. You cannot shame me for disliking my Mac Pro. Like, all these people are like, well, oh, fuck you. Fuck you. I love my Mac Pro. Oh, you're just saying that because your Mac Pro allows you to get more work done. Yes. Oh, anywho. So yeah, here we go. As always, remember EliTheComputerGuy.com. So if you want to see the educational videos when they go up, again, this video will probably go up tomorrow. You can come here. This has all my videos. So the file upload script, that went up. Again, when you come here, you'll notice I'm in front of the paywall. There's all the information. There's all the actual code is sitting here, so on and so forth. You can even download the videos if you want. So if you click on the link at the top, that'll take you to Vimeo, and you can actually download whatever version of the video you want. So that's there. That's all in front of the paywall. If you want to be able to watch the opinion videos, woo, opinion videos. If you want to be able to see those, that you have to become a member for. So again, if you join now for $5 a month or $60 a year, you get to see the opinion videos. You get to comment, and you get to support what I do. Because we all know how ad revenue is doing right now. Hey, guess what? Oh, have you seen this? Have you seen this? Yeah, this is good. This is good. If you're wondering why more and more of your the content creators are going to be asking for money, it's because yeah, advertising. This may come as a shock. A lot of the folks out there may not realize this. But when you're going into a depression, companies don't have money for advertising, and when companies don't have money for advertising, companies like Yelp basically lay off and furlough 2,000 people. Oh, I think somebody worried about stuff like this. So, anyways, this is all I'm saying. Like, my ad revenue really is tanking. Again, I'm not begging. I'm not begging. I'm just saying this exists. If you like what I do, think about joining. If you don't want to join, you can donate, throw a couple of dollars in. Again, this will become more serious as the depression gets worse. We're going into a depression. Everybody knows we're going into a depression. Again, Larry Hogan, my governor, is talking about 25% national unemployment. The head Munchin, how the hell you say his name? He's talking about 30% unemployment. So words. If 30% national unemployment isn't a depression, I really don't want to know how they define a depression. So, anyways, that's what we're going into. So, if you support what I do, think about tossing a couple of bucks in. If you don't, hey, cool. Again, I'm just, me just doing me. So, anyways, with that, we'll call it a day. See you folks later.